Good weekend. Ira Epstein with your financial market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for Friday, the 25th of February, 2022, wild week, and this is your weekend edition, which means we look at weekly charts. We're looking at the bigger picture this time. Now, the odds of me telling you, first of all, I think this was the wildest 4 days that I can recall in the futures markets. It was insanity. It doesn't matter if it was grains, which go limit up, and then whacking limit downs. And I mean, it's crazy. Take a look. Would you think that the stock market would be up after all this monster break that we had? But it's what you're going to see. Gold market, you're going to see how the market soared and gave it all up again. So difficult? Yeah. In fact, I said this morning to some of my subscribers, I don't even know how to trade in this type of market. Makes you feel like an amateur because it's too volatile. Now I'm going to cover on the week, just so you know, I will use this big, the big contracts, but I am moving over to all trades now in the micro mini. Now let me explain why, just so you get it. That's where the market has evolved to. The volume is huge in them. I mean, absolutely monstrous. What happened years ago is we had non-electronic markets. That's how the S&P started. Then it got too big of a contract. People couldn't afford the margin, so they created an E-mini. Over this past 10 years of a major bull market in American stock indices, all of the E-minis got too expensive, so the exchange went to the micro-minis. I guess they'll go to a nano if we go another decade and prices keep climbing because they've got to lower it to the point where the average person can afford to trade it. Most people don't have $20,000, $30,000 for one contract, even $15,000. It's too much, but they certainly have $1,000 to $1,500. The exchange is in the business of clearing to make money, to return dividends to their shareholders, and they're humming. They're doing a heck of a business. So that is where I'm moving. So I wanted to finish this week up with it because when I start switching on you, you'll say, what's he talking about? But it'll just be the new symbol. They trade the same. When you look at a monthly chart of this market, we are coming in. We're not through with the month, but we're down about 3%. Last month, you were down 5.34%, and I certainly don't know where this month's going to finish out. After that, you were up. So 2 months in a row, if you were to finish trading right now, you're down about, what is that, 9%? Yeah, I think it's, let me get back here, 5.34, yeah, about 8%. So you're down about 8%. You're down more than that when you go to the daily charts because we've seen the market get it really smashed, where you came from 47.58.50, and if you take a look at last week, you were at 43.43.50. So that is one heck of a break that you've had. You had a bounce this week. If you were to ask me, did I think we were going to be up this week? Never. But you were up just shy of a percentage point, up 36.5 points. But when you look at this chart, there's something evident. You've got lower highs, lower lows. And when you even go to the weekly bar chart, you can see the pattern. So you're getting these spikes back, but it's not a trend changer. To break the downtrend, you have to break the pattern of lower highs, lower lows. If you've taken my charting course, you know what the swing line does, and it's got 5 variables that make it determine where to put the line during the day. It's all automatic, so it's not a question, I think it belongs here, I think it belongs there. That's not the issue at all. So, as I'm looking at this market right now, it's got lower highs, lower lows until you get back up and over 45.86. What do I think the pros are going to do? I think that knowing nothing else, the market is a short sale against 45.76.50 with a stop over that high because that would break the downtrend. Why didn't the market stay down? What are the odds of staying over or under the black lines, which are the Bollinger Bands? 5% of the time. Each time we fall into that, we have gotten a bounce, but we have not recently gone up and made a higher high. Where's momentum? Momentum has not turned up. It's sort of drifting sideways. So I think on a good rally, the pros will test the water. It's not a huge risk, but that's what I think they'll do. And if the market then heads down, I think the Bollinger Band will be their near-term support. The same sort of setup happened to you in the NASDAQ. If you think about it, the lower highs, lower lows, you first went to the Bollinger Bands, you got your kicker, couldn't get back up through the 18-week average, came down, and right through here. This is how you looked last week. You normally don't have to exceed that. Momentum's still down, certainly the bias down, trend down. Next support, 12,971, but I'm going to repeat. The odds of staying under the Bollinger Band, 5% of the time. You went down, you tested the water, you came running back up to it. Okay. When you come to the Russell, same thing. Here's how you looked last week. Certainly a downtrend. Lower highs, lower lows. Target, if the market can keep going down, will be 1935.27 to the lower Bollinger Band. Those numbers will change as the week goes on, but you can just keep up with them. You know, your charting service will certainly update it. Where would I be wrong in my thinking? Well, if you took out 2103.90, that could give you the pattern of higher lows, higher high. You'd be out of the downtrend, maybe going back to fight a battle at 2184. As it turns out, it went down. It kissed them both and came back up. Impressive. Now, momentum's trying to come up here a little bit, and I think that the other indices look more interesting, frankly, than selling into the Russell. In the 30-year bond, I realize everybody's going, well, we're getting closer and closer to whatever the Fed's going to do. And whatever they're going to do, it's going to be a quarter or a half-point hike. It's not going to be nothing. The Fed came out today, if you were reading their semi-annual survey. And the comments in it, because I made comments for my brokers and my subscribers to see, was they see what's going on in Ukraine, but it isn't enough yet to make the Fed get off its path. So what are they saying in our jargon? They're still going to give you an interest rate hike. I happen to think it'll be a quarter point because I think you're going to see red-hot inflation. You might go to 8% instead of the 7.5% we just saw. Just think about how many market prices have gone up in that time. So it wouldn't surprise me. Will it scare the Fed that they have to go there? I don't know. I think they're going to look at the markets and we'll see, but it'll be something in that zone. This chart is still in the bear camp. It takes 3 weeks to have both numbers under 20 to be embedded, which you now have. I think that any rallies will be sold, and I think the trade is still looking for the 150.10 level. In the 10-year note, it's the same pattern. I think the trade is bearish until you get the red line to close over 21. I think these rallies right now, right here, are the short sale ones too. In the dollar index, let's come back to how we looked. Coming in, higher lows, higher highs. Market held back here, the 200-day average in gray and the 18-week average. So did I say day? They're weekly averages. If I said that, I'm sorry. Momentum was down, though, so I had divergence, and I probably said that. If the market can hold, maybe you get up to the upper Bollinger Band. We knew that Ukraine, the situation was there. Putin's a liar. He kept talking, well, is he going to do it? And Macron is going there, and he's saying he got assurances. He's not going. Yeah. The man went. He made his attack, and with that, the dollar took off with an outside week up. But what did it run to, and where did it have trouble? At the upper Bollinger Band, and that's where I think the pros took their money off the table. On pullbacks, I would expect the pros to buy. I don't think they will let the market get under this week's low. I think they'd have to have a stop there. That number's 95.65, and I think they'll look again for the upper band. I don't think they'll buy if you first make a higher high and then head back down. In the eurocurrency, it's the flip-flop. You had a market that didn't have a downtrend. This is how you looked, higher high, lower low. So you were fighting your battle here. You hadn't quite gotten to the 200-week average. You fell back to the 18. No trend. Bollinger Band support. Momentum sort of flat. Bias down. I didn't see anything in it. Went down. And what do we still have? We don't have a trend in that market. Canadian dollar is still bearish. I see big resistance at the 18-week average, 78.87. I'm wrong and would not want to stay short. If the market got over the 79.13 level, it held another challenge. It did it before at the 100-week average, but selling rallies is still so far the way to go with it. In the Japanese yen, with the whole safe haven buying, all you did is rally into the neighborhood of the 18-week average and not hold it. You are not in a trend. You have a higher high, lower low. Bitcoin is still in a downtrend. I was laughing today as people were saying, well, Bitcoin did well. It did. If you looked at the daily chart, it held perfect the lower Bollinger Band. But it's still in a downtrend. To say that it's more than that, you have to take out right here, this high. So 45,905 is the number you should mark on your chart. Take that out, I think we have a different game on our hand. I think we'd be looking to see wherever the 18-week average is. Barring that, momentum is flat. The bias is down, trend down. Next target on the weekly chart. You've hit the target on the dailies, 32,922, the 100-week average. Then you get to the difference of the Brent and the WTI. Now, the one thing we have seen is that Europe does not want to cut off its energy. I haven't seen any change on that where they're willing to say, hey, we're really not going to take energy from Russia. We'll get it from elsewhere. If they do that, it is a game changer. There's rumbles that people are saying that I haven't seen it yet, that is in fact the case. What they did do, and it's something different, they've gone after Lavrov, the Putin spokesman, if you will, and they've gone after President Putin. They've put sanctions on them. What I'm surprised there's no talk of is this a war crime? Invading another country like this, can they get them up because there's people dying? Is that a war crime issue? I'm bringing it up. You can write me about it. It might well be. What we have is a man that is grandiose, trying to prove a point, whatever that point is. He has taken over another country. We saw that over the day today that the president of the Ukraine is trying to set up a meeting. Maybe Israel will be the host of it. But what is that really a meeting about? I mean, the only thing that can happen here to stop it, in my probably a terrible opinion of mine, is that we get a resignation of the government in Ukraine and a puppet government goes in, and what's the point of killing and taking over the cities anymore? You haven't. Is he willing, and I'm talking the president of the Ukraine, is he willing to do that in that conversation? I don't know. I know that the bigger waves are coming now. I know there's no air support for Ukraine. That's terrible. I was listening on Fox today to I think it was a school teacher, a fighter, and he was talking about the fact that he thinks 2,600 Russian soldiers were killed and helicopters down. He's going into it all. I hope he's right or wrong, whatever. Sounds like a big number to me, I just want to tell you. And he's begging, literally begging, rightly so, for air support. If they had air support, they could handle the ground. But you can't handle, without air support, it's pretty darn difficult. They just parachute everybody in over and over. If you catch them, it's great, and he was describing that. It is a tragedy, both for the Russian soldiers. I'm sure they really don't want to fight the Ukrainians. It's so sad. But in any case, here you are, up in the difference. You have an OPEC meeting coming up. I think it's this Wednesday. And I'm sure OPEC's going to say, yeah, we'll go ahead with our normal increase. Of course, they don't meet the increases they've been telling us anyways. So they have nothing to lose by doing that. But don't you feel embarrassed as an American that our president is making a deal with Iran, and he is making that deal to get that oil? Now, for it, this is 2022. Iran is able in 2025, everything's off. They can go crazy with their nuclear programs, everything. That's the deal. They're just going back into the treaty, and that's when it runs out. In the meantime, Israel will be building whatever it builds to attack Iran, and that's how that part's going to go. Iran's going to take that money, and it's going to do what it always does. It's going to take the terrorists and give them support and keep working against American interests, and this is our energy policy. Thank you, Joe Biden. Why don't you just turn on the American spigots, go back to that? We should be stronger. I'm not the only one. I'm seeing it all over TV. People are saying this. I think he's got to take off his hearing aid and listen. As you get over to the upper Bollinger Band, you keep fighting that. You're not going anywhere at this point in time, and you're still embedded. So the breaks in the market, unless you get a close with the red line under 79, are still support. Certainly the market gave up a lot of ground today, but at the end of the week, I'm just wondering what Friday was about. It was such a wild week. I mean, this week, I got my first sleep, I told you, in 40 hours last night, and I feel great. But my gosh, you know, you own a brokerage firm, you have no idea the risk. Today was the other way. People that were long were getting wiped out in some of the markets and the grains and so on. It's insane how wild it is right now. Then we get over to the rebar gas, same thing. You know, you're having trouble getting through the upper Bollinger Band, but the trends are up. You're embedded. There's no sign here of weakness, not at least in my eye. So you put it together, you're trying to come up with the game plan, and that's where I fit in for you. Each Monday through Friday, I start recording for you at about 5:20 to 5:30 in the morning. And I'm going to go through the markets and tell you what's going on around the world. Then I'm going to give you the U.S. reports that are coming out with the estimates, because they'll start coming out typically about 6:30 in the morning. And then I'm going to cover 40 some odd charts with very specific buy and sell recommendations. Not like this. Real specific. Here's what I think you do. Here's why you do it. That's different than you're talking to a broker, you're reading a report. Oh, this is a good idea. I'm giving you what's there on the chart. You're watching it develop right in front of you. I think that's the key. You can watch this on your smartphones, your tablets, your computers. If you go to our website and you watch it, there's a scroll bar. You just grab it, you pull it. So what you're going to see in that is the different areas of the markets that I cover, because the different sectors are easy to get to. Some people don't want to watch, for example, the meat market. Other people, that's the whole thing they want. They want to see what I'm doing, what I'm saying about cattle, hog markets. What about the grains? Others of you could care less about that. You're in the metal markets. So whatever sector you like. How do you get to this? It's simple. Go to our website right now. Go up to the word Ira's Research, which is at the very top. It's research. Take a look at what I offer there. I think you'll find it interesting. If you want a free trial, go to our website. On the left side, all you do is go to free trials, and you can sign up for one there too. We'll give you a 1-week trial to everything. I'm Ira Epstein. You have a good day.